So I really wanted to make a series of videos about moving out because I feel like that's such a big thing, and a lot of the time you don't have someone like every step of the way holding your hand, and at the same time, as much as you don't need that or want that, I just wanted to make like some guidance videos and things like that, just so then if anyone is reaching that point in their life, be it uni or like just generally for work or placement, I hope that these can be of some kind of use. So this is a list of things which threw me back a bit once I moved out. So I moved out when I was 18 and I lived on student accommodation. So I moved out as a student, and now it's my second year, but I don't live on student accommodation anymore. I live in a private house with my friend. So it's off campus. It's about like a 15-minute walk away. And this video is basically gonna cover a few things in second year. So that's once I had moved out of the hall. Different things which I experienced just generally moving out. So it's the first thing, and I feel like this is quite an obvious thing, like you might have heard so many people bring this up, or it's a bit like a no-brainer, but it's basically bills. In first year, at least for me, I didn't have to worry about bills because it was included in the price that I paid. But second year, it felt like I was an adult, really, and I'm saying was past tense, but even now it still feels like that, because right from the beginning with the house hunting and the searching and like having a criteria, no one told me like when you're going house hunting, make sure you look out for this and this, because now, even though this house is fine, there's still a few things that I wish that I had looked into. For example, our boiler, things like that, and like it kind of makes you think you wish you had a bit of a heads up, because as much as it is a whole learning experience, there was a lot of things that felt so new to me. Like at 19, house hunting, it just felt strange. Like the whole concept felt really, really weird. Like the last time I went looking for a house was with my parents before they bought their house. So going back to the idea of bills, sometimes it's included. For us it wasn't, so like we had to set up our own bills and do our own direct debits and all of that. But that was something which kind of threw me off, because I was like, I actually feel like an adult now, like having to sort out bills and things like TV license, water, electricity, Wi-Fi, all of that. I feel like all of these responsibilities is what makes you mature, which is why I do think like moving out is like such an important big step to make. But at the same time, I was like, I feel really mature. Even the fact that like I got a car, and I really, really wish that my place had a driveway now, because I have to park on the road, and it's not a problem, but when the road is full and like it's late at night and I have to park on another road, it's a bit annoying. But generally my area is safe, so I'm quite lucky. But other things involving just like things I wish I had known or thought about before was like storage, in terms of like when you're house hunting in general, will the house have enough storage for you? I feel like someone who has like not that much belongings, that's fine. But when you're me and you're going into a kitchen as if you've got like a family of 8 to feed, it's tough. It is so tough, because I've had to learn to be like super minimal this year. And I say that like half the storeroom isn't filled with my stuff, but even then, like when I clear out to leave for this year, I'm really, really going to take a lot less stuff into my third year, because I've also realised I don't even need that much. Like I said, I was being so extra, and I had like 3 chopping boards, 4 frying pans, 2 pots, 2 different like big bowls, and then I had smaller bowls. Like I had a lot of things, like way more than I needed, because you need to remember, like, you're just renting that place. It's not your house. It's not your forever home where you're gonna stock up with all of your stuff. That was something which I really learned in this year. Even like in terms of clothes, I am trying to be more minimal, but I'm not at the moment. Let's just put it that way. At the moment, I'm not very minimal. I need to get rid of a lot of things, and I also don't need to bring as much things as I bought, because really I ended up recycling the same outfit like 3 times a week, because no one cares. Like literally no one cares, nobody cares. And sometimes I like dressing up for myself, which is fine, but I don't need as much clothes as I bought, like honestly. Okay, let's talk about the like shopping for yourself part, groceries, all of that. So when it comes to shopping, like you will obviously need your basic toiletries and stuff like that. But one thing that I do and I've always done is I've kept backup. So let's say I get toothpaste, I would always have a backup one, because I would hate to be in a position where I've ran out and I'm like, what do I do? Like I don't have any left, or I don't like leaving it till I'm near the end, because I know I'll forget. Like every time I go out, I'll just forget to buy it. So I always keep backup, and that is with everything, like literally everything. Cotton pads, sanitary pads, everything. I have so much backup, which is why I need so much storage. But I don't know why, like, this is just instilled in me to be like this. I'm not saying you have to be like that, but it's just what I do. So when it comes to like buying toiletries and stuff on a general everyday kind of thing, stock up on toilet roll. And I'm telling you this now, I did that and it felt like it saved me so much money through the year because I stocked up. Like, I bought bulk toilet roll and that literally lasted me like the whole year. I bought so much, and again, that was just in my storeroom. Generally, when it comes to grocery shopping, you either overbuy or you underbuy, and of course I overbought. I have a lot of things, alhamdulillah, I have a lot of things, but I need to actually like eat the things I buy. I feel like if you budget when you go shopping, and if you have an idea of what it is you need to buy so you're not overbuying, that links into the idea of like meal prep, but we'll come back to that. Then you won't be like overbuying, because sometimes you can go to Aldi and you just start buying like random things, or Asda, and then you're like, one, I don't even have space for that. Bear in mind, you'll be sharing if you're moving to like a shared place. And also, it's just a bit like extra money and as well as that, you probably don't even need half the things you've bought, or you do need it, but they'll just sit in your cupboard and you'll never use it. So when it comes to shopping, like, it's not like you have your mum there with you to like shop with you, and I mean, if you do, like, good on you, but obviously I don't, I live far away. So what I would say when it comes to shopping, like food shopping, is I put it into categories. So I'd have like fridge stuff, breakfast stuff, produce, freezer things, and pantry. So like that was my kind of thing. And of course, you know, you'd have like the miscellaneous stuff, but that was my basic. And what I did at the start of the year, I had like my staple things, so like pantry things, pasta, which I'd always have, produce, which obviously you can't stock up on because it will go bad unless it's frozen, but that goes in the frozen section, and things like that. Like, I'd have like 2 pizzas in the freezer at least, and stuff to keep me going in that sense. So the things I would only really need to stock up on would be like produce or fresh things like eggs and milk. So that meant when I went shopping, it was a lot more bearable, because I knew that things which are like pantry things, tinned things, and frozen things won't be like going off, so I don't need to buy them as much. Whereas dairy, things like cheese, breakfast, or like bread, croissant, things like that, you do need to buy a bit more frequently because they will go off, or like you kind of just eat them more regularly. So that was always on my list. I would go through like produce, and then like I said, dairy and breakfast, so that way I wasn't overbuying. And I would always in my head think, okay, like let's say I get a pack of bread, how long would that last me, what would I eat it with through the week? Okay, so once that's done, I don't need to buy anything else because I'm simply overbuying. So yeah, so the shopping for yourself part is actually fun. I find it really fun. Like, when I go Aldi, I want to buy everything, but I obviously have to like restrain myself and not do that. But generally, like, it's okay. Like, I know a lot of people who don't have cars, so I drive and just get my stuff and come back. A lot of people, they actually find alternatives like shopping online, which is so much easier, especially if you're near like an Aldi or a Tesco. Then that's fine, like if you're in walking distance. But that being said, Tesco is kind of expensive nowadays. Even with a club card, I'm like, oh my god, like how are these 2 products like £6? It's a lot. It's a lot. So I feel like grocery shopping can seem to be overwhelming, but if you follow the tips that I said and you put it in categories and see what do you really need, and that comes hand in hand with meal planning. Meal planning, again, it sounds like, oh my god, so much organisation, so much to do, but really, like, it's just a fancy word for something really chill, and the chill part of it is just thinking, what do you want to eat for the week? And I have an organisational mind, so if I cook 2 curries in a day, I will think, how many pieces of chicken is there, how much will I eat per portion, how much will that last? Okay, so let's say there's 6 pieces and I could spread that equally across 2 days, that'd be 3 and 3, or that'd be like 3 days, 2, 2, 2. Like, do you see is that normal? I don't even know, it's just what I do. But then, like, I feel like that's a good thing, because then I'm not overcooking or like overbuying at the same time. And then, like, I will make something like a meat dish, and then I always try and vary it out. So I'll make like beans or like lentils or vegetables on the side, or maybe even like tinned fish like mackerel. I really like cooking mackerel. So things like that, which are cheaper, and they're also like healthy as well. And then like in between, when I have like meat or like heavier dishes, I say heavy but it's not really that heavy, I will have like other meals instead, and I'll kind of like mix out what I eat it with. I want to do a separate video itself just on meal planning, because the way I do it is I like section food out in my mind. So I'll be like, okay, so carbs, proteins, veg, and like how do I like mix and match them to create meals. But anyway, that's just me overcomplicating it because I like being super organized, and that's what I do. I literally write things down, but obviously you don't have to do that. It's just like what works for you, and that way when you're buying things, you're only buying what you need. This is the big one, right? House maintaining. Yep, so when I lived on campus first year, we had a cleaner, they did all that stuff for us, but when it comes to second year, it's all about organisation. So whether that's like having a rota or things like that, we don't have a rota, but I strongly recommend that you do. Make sure you've got a rota, write this down. So for example, the bins, I didn't have to think about that in first year, but it's so important that you're on top of it, because you don't want flies in your bin, and also you just don't want a dirty bin, or you don't want a stinky house. So have a rota, think of like who's going to do it when. Obviously it's not that deep, but it's good to have it written down like on paper, so then everyone knows like when it's their turn. Even things like cleaning the floor, cleaning counter surfaces, things like that, microwaves, because it does get dirty and it does build up and it's stinky. Cleaning the sink, so things like that should be written down formally, so that it's not like a point of friction when it comes to it. Another thing I forgot to say about grocery shopping, we have sponges and liquid that we buy, but we do it in like rotation, so that way all the pressure doesn't fall on one person. So that way, again, like you don't have to formally write down who's buying it when, but you kind of just like judge and gauge when someone's bought it and when it's your turn to then buy it. And if you want to use your own sponges, by all means do that. Some people do that, but yeah, that's just linking to like groceries and buying house related things. Another one, I live in an area which has horrible signal and horrible Wi-Fi, meaning I had to buy a booster, and I don't mind buying a booster, but this is something to really consider, because yeah, it was a bit of an investment, but now I can actually listen to my lectures in peace, when before I could never join ever. It would keep breaking up. So that's something that I would say is kind of like unrelated to what we've just been talking about, but I think it's like important to jot it down. Nobody is going to tell you when to clean. So this is if you have your own bathroom. If you have it shared, I guess it's a bit different, but nobody's going to come after you and tell you, oh, clean your sink, clean the shower, clean the toilet. That is going to have to come from your own initiative, and that is hard because you're never going to be bothered to like want to clean your toilet. But here are some essentials: bleach, toilet scrubber, sponges just for the bathroom area, and the correct sprays to use. Be really careful, because don't mix and match random sprays, because they can actually be like really toxic. I didn't know that, but now I do. I would say like a general rule of thumb is like a deep clean like once a week, and by that I like spray down my sink, spray down the shower. I leave it to set for a bit, like I leave it, hang around a bit, chill, do my thing, then I come back to it and I scrub it down, and I get my shower head and I go all over. And then my toilet, I'm on top of that like a lot. Like I don't like the thought of it being gross, so that I'm quite good with. But again, rule of thumb, deep clean, I would say like once a week, and by that, douse it in bleach, get your toilet toothbrush, and then flush it again if you need to. And that's that. The final thing that I want to cover in this video, because I don't have that much time, is laundry. So again, this is something no one's going to tell you. No one's going to come to you and say, you must wash your clothes now, or hey, like, you kind of smell, do you want to wash your clothes? You're going to have to use your own initiative for that one. Find out before you find a house if it has a washing machine and if it has a dryer. If it's not that important to you if it has a dryer, that's fine. You can have a rack or whatever. For me, I really wanted a dryer, so we have a dryer, and after I wash my clothes, I just shove it in the dryer. And again, like no one tells you like what to use when you're washing your clothes and things like that. Like maybe you do know, which is really good if you know that. I just didn't. Like my mum always did my laundry for me, and now I use the pods, which are like so great. You just chuck a pod in, chuck your clothes in, shut it, twist it, and then it's clean. So that works really well for me. And then conditioner, like I use fabric conditioner. I think I've covered a lot of things. I'm really thirsty, and I'm fasting, so I haven't had water all day, and I'm like super thirsty. I'm really parched right now. Anyway, I really want to continue making the series, so if there's anything in particular you want me to cover, definitely let me know and I will do that. But other than that, I hope that this was useful in some way. If it wasn't, I'm really sorry. But yeah, I hope it was useful or it brought like some kind of thing to your mind that you're like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that before. Something like that, and I will see you in my next video.